Well, this is a new experience. I'm starting the season review and transfer special episode with absolutely no idea of how much our transfer budget might be, or even if we're going to get one. Presumably because we're waiting on finding out who wins the FA Cup to see if we make it into Europe or not. I don't know what's about to happen. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 21 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our season review and our summer transfers. Maybe. If we get any transfer budget. As you can see at the moment, we have zero transfer budget and a maxed out wage budget. So we haven't had any news on budgets yet. And it's 2 days after that last game of the season that we had in the last episode against Chelsea. This is what the league table looks like. So we are in 6th place. The FA Cup final, I think, is Manchester United against Tottenham, which tells me that regardless of who wins, we should get the next Europa League spot. But for some reason, the game doesn't see it that way, so I wonder if there's something that I'm missing there. I hope not. In other news, Mitrovic, top scorer in the Premier League for that season, 20 goals. He's only won the Golden Bloomin' Boot. And also some spoilers about all this stuff as well, which we're going to look at now anyway. But Mitrovic, top scorer in the Premier League after I spent 2 years saying we really need a striker. Well, let's do our season review then. So this is the overall best 11 here at Fulham. Now, I don't know why it starts with the overall one. It should start with the season one, but this is the overall one. A lot of our players are in this team now. There's only Seri and Zambo and Grissa, I think, who are not our players, or not players who played for us at some point. So we've only been here a couple of years, but really leaving our mark on Fulham. Mirabella, Mitrovic and Hall, the all-time best front three already. We haven't had any of the midfielders break in. Calderon was already here when we arrived. Seri and Zambo and Grissa obviously are the ones who we moved him on immediately. Seri was already gone when we arrived. But that back four could have been our back four, although they're all a bit old now and several of them have left. Moore and Albrighton have both left, and Albrighton we always played on the left wing anyway. Rinner in goal. On the bench, Duffy's made it onto the bench. You all criticised me when I signed him 2 years ago now. All of a sudden, that looks like £10 million well spent. He's had a good couple of years for us. I think it probably is time to replace him now. Larson, still knocking around in there as well. He's ahead of youth development now. Mendy, Shirl, Cullen and Oliver McBurney. Should we see how he's been getting on in Saudi Arabia? As you'd probably imagine, scoring goals. McBurney loving life in Saudi Arabia. So there's your summary of what I've just done from my head. And now our end of season awards. So Player of the Year, Mitrovic, followed by Horta, followed by Sosa. They're probably two players that we need to try and tie down to extended loans as a matter of urgency, especially if we don't get much in the way of a transfer budget, which I don't know if we're going to be getting. So Lazio want to play him next year. We do have the option to buy him for 15 million quid. If we buy him for the end of his loan, though. No, we don't want to send that. I think we probably do want to buy him if we can get him for 15 million quid. It's just whether we're going to have 15 million pounds to spend. Sosa, at age 27, can we get him on loan for another year, or is he another one who's going to go? No, they want to give him a chance as well. Have we got a fee agreed for him as well? I don't know if we have. No, we don't want to send the offer. Do we have a fee agreed? No. So we've probably seen the last of Borna Sosa as well, which is a bit of a shame. And that's going to be a bit of a problem for us this year. A lot of our players who came in on loan are going to be leaving. McBurney got goal of the season, so this is probably now the last time you'll ever see Oliver McBurney on this channel. He's now living in Saudi Arabia, but let's see him score a cracking goal. How do you get goal of the season from a corner? It's just going to fall to him out here, is it? Why is he out here for a corner? I mean, it's a lovely finish, but he was a striker. He should have been somewhere in that penalty area. But I guess if he can hit it like that, that's why he's hovering out there. With all the players who came in, Joe Williams got signing of the season. I had my doubts about him when he came. Obviously, I was wrong. Well, I signed him, so I wasn't that wrong. I was right about signing him, wrong to have any doubts. I probably would have given that to Toussaint, maybe. And Sessegnon gets Young Player of the Year. And this was our team in the season. So Lopez as goalkeeper, Sosa, Mawson, Bakayoko and Sessegnon. Bakayoko's another one who we're probably not going to get back. We have a fee agreed, but it's like 40 million quid or something ridiculous. 30 million pounds. I don't know if Barcelona have got any plans to play him. They're looking to give him a chance in the first team. So Bakayoko is also done. Sessegnon at right back. Then Toussaint, Pineda and Horta. Pineda is another one who's here on loan. But at 29 years old, I don't know I don't know how bothered I am about bringing him back. We've loaned him for the last 2 years now. We could buy him for £9.5 million, or loan him again for another. We're probably going to do that. We'll just loan him again. Because, I mean, we haven't got the money to do it at the moment, but we will. Once we have money to pay the loan fee, we'll probably just bring him back on loan for another year and just never sign him permanently because we don't need to. And then a front three that is all our own now, Mirabella, Hall, and the Premier League's top scorer, Mitrovic. So he's obviously our top scorer and our best player. Horta got most assists, Toussaint best pass completion. Mitrovic has had an incredible season at age 30. I mean, that is the season of his life. 36 games, 20 goals, 5 assists, 8 man of the match, a 7.25. He's been at Fulham forever and has just at age 30 decided he's a top Premier League striker. Hopefully now too old for someone to swoop in and take him away from us. Any more stats? Sessegnon got most yellow cards, Sosa most red cards. So our season review, we did well. We finished 6th in the Premier League. That's far better than expectation. Cups were a bit disappointing, and we need a bigger ground, really, or a new ground. We've used the second highest number of players in the Premier League at 28. I don't feel like we've used that many players, but apparently we have. That's what dynamics looks like. So our team leaders are Mawson, Mitrovic and Duffy. They're all likely to be here next year, so we don't need to worry too much about dynamics going into the summer. Discuss plans for next season. Well, I haven't discussed this with the board yet. I guess we just need to qualify for the Europa League again. There's no point saying to them now, let's qualify for the Champions League, because that's crazy. But they are all well up for Europa League qualification next year, which is positive. Preseason start date sorted. And let's just have a look on here to see if there's anything else of note. So sort them all by average rating. You can see who our best players have been. They're all the usual suspects. Sort them by goals. Again, it's exactly who you'd expect. Purbai's got 7 goals. I think he's on loan at Norwich. He is. I wonder if we maybe give Purbai a chance, or has he missed his opportunity now? Sort by ability. Obviously losing, theoretically, our best player in the shape of Bakayoko, but we have got Mirabella coming in permanently. We've still got Hall, Lopez, Mitrovic. We've got the basis of a good squad, and the players with best potential are going to be some of the youngsters, probably. Garces, Edison, don't know. I don't know that he's ever going to play for us either. He's been on the loan list for a year. He's not got a work permit. We can't apply for one again until August. And he's still not made his debut for Colombia. So, starting to worry a little bit about this lad. But we shall see, I guess. Right, the job from here is really just waiting to see whether we qualify for Europe and what our budgets are going to be. Before we do that, though, there's been a couple of people asking just to have a look at the other teams we've managed in this save, just to see how they're getting on now. So we'll quickly look through them. Bristol Rovers, as you can see, still in the Championship with Harry Kewell as manager. I mean, they did all right. And then did they go down and come back up again? Because they looked like they were... Yeah, they did. They went down the season I left, I think. That was the season I left. Came back up again in second place. Still a lot of the players we signed there. Lockyer, Roberts, Lewis. We signed all of those. Well, actually, we didn't sign Lockyer. Josh De Silva's still there as well. Oh, he's not played very many games, though. Poor old Josh De Silva. But that's Bristol Rovers. We'll look at Forest Green as well. Forest Green, mid-table in League One. So, again, higher than when we arrived. George Williams is still there, now captain at age 29. I mean, I feel like he probably should have moved here somewhere, and he might have earned a bit more money than the 2.9. I mean, £3,000 a week's not to be sniffed at, but he's a full international. I think he probably could have earned more if he'd have made the right move at the right time. McCassie's still there as well. Is there any more of our old boys still knocking around? Not many other names I recognise there now. Husek still there. How did Lucas Husek develop? He's still 6'7", and now he plays regularly. There you go. For a man who only got in the team initially because he was tall, he turned into a half-decent player, looking at that. And then lastly, we'll have a look at St Albans. I think St Albans are probably the one team that haven't been left in a better position than we found them. Oh, no, I guess they are in a better position than we found them, but we left them in the Conference National. They did get relegated immediately and then have struggled to become challengers again, finishing third last season, but back down to mid-table this time round. And I guess there's not going to be many of our players left there now. Is there anyone you recognise there? I don't think there's any of our players still at the club. What a player turnover that is. Right, we shall now wait and see if and when we get some budget. Well, there you go, we got some budget immediately. We've had a slight increase in wage budget, but more importantly, we've been given £50 million to spend on transfers. We could bring in Bakayoko plus one more. I need to come up with a plan now. I don't really know what my plan is. Our training facilities have been downgraded. We have got money in the bank. I mean, let's improve them as well. Yeah, he likes the idea of that. Should we try and improve everything while we're here? See, I worry that I really am committing myself to the future of this club now. If I'm improving the youth facilities, my word, what have I become? There you go. We'll improve everything. Oh, there you go. You already wanted to improve youth level. Yeah, do that as well. Why not? Oh, this club is going places, everybody. Look at all the money we're spending. We've just spent over £10 million on improving facilities, moving our youth academy up to a level 1. We've just spent half the money that's in the bank, but we still have our big transfer budget, and that's all that matters. Right, now I need to come up with a transfer plan. And there is your confirmation that we've qualified for the Europa League. Does that mean we get... Oh, we get £32 million for... I thought we got that just for qualifying. The board are delighted we've qualified for the Europa League. Can we have a bit more money now then, if you're that delighted? But we are in the Europa League. That is awesome. There's a couple of transfers are happening, hopefully, as well. We've submitted an offer to loan Pineda for a 3rd season in a row. There's no point signing him permanently, but he's a handy player to have around, relatively cheap on loan. Horta, we have submitted an offer for £15 million. It's less than his value. He's still only 28. He was a superstar for us last year. He's our best midfield player. So £15 million to bring him in. We have met the pre-agreed fee for him. Bakayoko, I don't want to pay £30 million for, so we've just made another loan to try and bring him in again. We'll see what Barcelona say. Likewise, with Sosa, we'll try and loan him, but I'm not holding up much hope of bringing that lad in. I'm not that bothered if we don't, because we've got Bell ready to step in and take his place, who is... star rating wise already almost there. So Paul Bell, I think he's probably just going to be our left back next year, which isn't necessarily going to be a bad thing. We gave him a few games this year. I think he's probably ready to make the step up. Other than that, transfer policy wise, if we have a look at our team and get an idea of what we're looking to do, it's I think very much going to be a summer of waiting to see if we can find a really special player, or just trying to refresh some of the ageing areas of the team. Because if we have a look through, we probably need a backup goalkeeper. But Randall has potential, so there's an argument that we just keep him sitting on the bench, because we may as well sit our own future Premier League goalkeeper on the bench rather than someone else's. So I think we're probably okay for goalkeepers unless we find a superstar. Left back, even if we're going to lose Sosa, I think we can probably get by with Bell and Bryan, unless a really special left back comes up. Right back, we've only really got Sessegnon, so probably another right back would be handy. I don't want to keep having to play Alfie Mawson over there as a backup, especially if we're losing Bakayoko and we're going to be down to just Mawson, Duffy and Carter Vickers as our centre-backs. Although we have got another youngster, David Rhodes, who, again, he's another one who's got potential to be a future Premier League player. He's already as good as Cameron Carter-Vickers. He's been out on loan at Forest in the Championship this season. So as a fourth option in the squad, David Rhodes is probably fine. So really, if we bring in a defender, it's going to want to be a wonder kid type player to offer competition to Mawson and Duffy, or an equivalent to Bakayoko, but not £30 million kind of player. At defensive midfield, we've got Toussaint. We won't have Bakayoko, but we've got Williams who can play there as well. So I think we're well covered there. Further forward, we'll still have Horta, still have Pineda, Williams, Purby comes back, Cullen and Calderon are still here. So again, we don't need a midfielder unless he drastically improves on what we've got. Out wide on the left, why is Mirabella not showing there at all? That's weird. Well, we know we've got Mirabella. I don't know why he's not showing on there. Maybe because he's got a future transfer arranged and the game gets confused. But we've got Mirabella, we've got Horta who can play out there. Lucas Moura can play out there. Right-hand side, we've got Hall, we've got Lucas Moura. We won't have Pepe. Pepe will go back. We don't need him for another year. And then up front, Mitrovic, Moura, Thorne, Power, Garces if he ever gets a work permit. We don't need to go. This is a team that we know can finish sixth in the Premier League as it is. So it's going to be quite a low-key summer, I think. We'll cruise through until the 1st of July, see what freebies are available, see if there's someone who can just slot in relatively cheap. Although the ones we've done that with in the recent past, like Mahrez, like Ndai, like Aubameyang the year before, none of them really worked out. So perhaps that's a policy we can probably abandon now. We're a European club. But if there's someone really good available for free, we'll bring them in. Otherwise, we'll just keep an eye on the scout reports. And if a superstar comes up at the right price, then we bring him in. Otherwise, we don't. Simple, really. This is going to be a weird summer for me. I did not realise this. So is that the highest Fulham have ever finished in the top flight in their history? Because if it is, I better be on the favoured personnel list. What have I got to do? Ridiculous. Simon Hall's on there. I'm older than him. But there we go. We finished 6th. And that's good. I'm manager of the year. Mitrovic got top goal scorer. We already knew about that. I was not expecting this, though. This potentially changes everything. I don't know if that's enough to make a big club notice me. But surely, Premier League Manager of the Year. I mean, there's nothing doing. I don't want to go to Newcastle. They've just been relegated. We want to keep an eye, though. That might just give me the spark to managerial. I mean, it doesn't. My managerial reputation, still turd. But it's nice to see that I'm Manager of the Year, and we'll see if that has any impact on Mitrovic getting Team of the Year as well. My word. Oh, look, Sosa's not come in. Neither's Bakayoko. The really interesting stuff, the financial summaries for the year. I know you were waiting for this. We've paid out £1.6 million to our directors on an estimated turnover of £184 million. Fair play. That's what I say to fair play. We've had to pay some tax as well. Monsters. But this is our commercial summary. This is the exciting bit. Financial services company, they give us an extra £15 million over 3 years. We have got more sponsorships all the way through. I might have to rethink sending Pepe back because he sold more shirts than anybody last year. I don't know that he started a game. Pineda and Horta are both coming back. Pineda's already agreed to come back in on loan. Horta has now agreed to join us for £15 million. And obviously Mitrovic and Hall will be here anyway. But Pepe is an interesting one because did we ever start him in a game? He started one game. He was only here on a 6-month loan. I guess he scored 4 goals in 11 games. Should we be bringing this lad back? How much is he going to cost us if we? It seems mad to bring him in just for shirt sales, but he's relatively cheap. Let's see if we can bring him back in on loan again. No, they're looking to give him a chance in the first team. Well, I don't want to actually pay money for him. It's a position we don't need a player. But it was weird that he sold more shirts than anybody. Fulham fans, you silly bears, you should have bought a Mitrovic shirt. He's just had the season of his career. We also have a new scouting budget and other stuff too. And more youngsters that I didn't know we had. We've got a good young Welsh attacking midfielder. We've got a good young Portuguese left back who's just gone off to play in the French Youth Invitational. I've got to find him now. Let's filter this by left backs. Left back. So not only have we got Bell, we've also got Pedro Santos Guerrero, who is another one who's a future potential Premier League player, or a potential future Championship left back actually. But still, 2-star now. He could be back up to Bell and Bryan easily. We've got so many good young players here at Fulham. This is mad. Okay, the board really are making it very difficult for me to even consider leaving for another club. They're letting me add another affiliate club. They're expanding the stadium up to 29,000 capacity, which, I mean, it's going to take a year. Are we going to be on a reduced capacity while that's happening? It doesn't actually say. We'll check that in a second. We've got more junior coaching coming in as well. Let's just check that we're not going to have a season on a reduced capacity. We're not. I don't really know how we're doing that there. Maybe we're just filling in the corners. Trying to picture Craven Cottage in my head. I don't think it has filled corners from what I remember. It's got the house in the corner, hasn't it? The cottage. So we're probably not filling in the corners. I don't know what we're doing, but we're finding a way to add an extra 4,000 seats without taking up any. I don't understand. Oh, boys and girls, this could be one of the most important moments in the history of this football club, in the history of this save. Now, how many games does he have to play for them before he'll get a work permit? That's the question. Will he be ready for a work permit when we can apply again in August? hopefully Colombia have a whole summer of games ready to play. In other news, Mike Phelan, my director of football, is at it again. We saw last summer that he was all about the loans. He's after another loan straight away. Obviously, in a position I've just signed Horta and renewed Pineda for another season. So his thoughts are another attacking midfielder for you, Kev. You can never have too many. But I mean, it's a pretty decent calibre of player, got to be said. Closing in on the all-important 1st of July then, but first we have our season expectations for the new year, and we're expected to reach the second knockout round of the Europa League, a top half finish in the Premier League. What happens if we say Europa League? Oh, we get a big chunk more money. I wonder if it's time to take a risk. Probably not that risk. No, I don't want to risk getting sacked. I want to do a good thing here. Plus 5th round of the FA Cup, 4th round of the League Cup. We'll just update our social feed as well. And next time you see me, it should be the 1st of July, and we should be nosing through free transfers. 2nd of July then, free transfers are a work in progress. I'll show you the trial lists in a second. You can see them on there. Go past that, Kev. So, other transfers that have happened so far. El Shaarawy is gone. I mean, possibly the worst signing I've made in non-league to legend this year. £11.5 million. It looked like a good signing at the time. He was ruined by Mirabella coming in at the same time, and then double ruined by just a season of injuries last year. If we have a look at last season, so from the moment he signed, we signed him just after we recovered from that tight Achilles. In the year and a half he was with us, he's had a tight calf, a tight Achilles, a bruised thigh, a damaged Achilles tendon, a pulled hamstring, and a tight Achilles again. I'm glad we got any money for him and got him off the wage bill. So El Shaarawy, he's gone. We have signed Danny Ceballos. Is that how we say his name? Ceballos. He's come in and looks, he's a proper player. We've got Horta and Ceballos as our midfield now, with Pineda as backup. That seems a bit special. We've also brought a new left back in. I know I said we didn't need one, but I said if a really good player becomes available, we'll bring him in. Wendell, only 31. It's nothing for me to bring in. I'm bringing in old defenders. That's what I do. But he's much better than Sosa was, better than Bryan, better than Bell. We're actually looking to sell Joe Bryan and have Bell as the proper backup to Wendell. But when you've got that kind of experience, it seems a bit of a steal to bring him in for next to nothing when he's still in his prime. And then we've also brought in another left winger as well, Kays Ruiz, who's a 22-year-old French under-21 international, coming on a free transfer from Paris Saint-Germain via lots of clubs in Italy and France. So he's got quite a lot of experience, just not much of it at our level. But he's second best left winger at the club now, with El Shaarawy on his way out and not any good anyway. But he's a better backup to Mirabella than Mora or Horta are. And it just adds to that nice strength and depth we've got in those wide areas. He's an inside forward as well. He's very quick. I can get on board with that. I'm going to show you the team report screen now. I've not looked at this since our trial lists are in. We've got about 10 trial lists at the club. There are names you'll recognise. I don't know how many of them are going to force their way onto this team report. Let's have a look at squad depth. So, well, Hazard and Mane make an impact on there, don't they? Is there anyone else who's any good? This guy, who are you? Emmanuel Mamana could potentially come in as best centre-back at the club. You're available on a free transfer. Why have you got WP? Does that mean you won't get a work permit, or you just don't have one now? So he's been around a bit. I think he seems like a sensible signing if he's going to come in as a potential best centre-back for us. There's also Rodrigo Chow, who's there as well as an option, and also Joel Matip as well as another option at centre-back. There's some backup goalkeepers. I'm not going to rush to sign any of these. Same with some of these other players, but I am tempted with Mane and Hazard. Mane now 33 years old, but natural on both wings. Lots and lots of experience playing for Liverpool, and theoretically better than both Mirabella and Hall. That's if we can get him cheap enough. That seems like a signing. And Eden Hazard, although he's super old now at 34, turns 35 this season. He has played 166 times for Belgium, and I'm just tempted to bring him in for experience. Imagine having him tutoring Mirabella, but then I guess we could have Mane doing the same thing. But again, if he can come in cheap enough, similar to what we did with Mahrez last year, even if we bring these two in and sell them for £2 million in January after they've done a bit of tutoring for Hall and Mirabella, then that's worth bringing them in, even if they're not playing. It's probably a bad idea to bring them in and start them every week and block the progression of Mirabella and Hall, but Mahrez didn't. So I think my pick is probably Mane, Hazard, and maybe even 2 of these defenders. We'll see what we can afford. We don't have oodles of wage budget left, but we'll have a play around. We'll see who I can agree deals with and hopefully bring in some free transfers. Well, that didn't turn out the way I hoped. Eden Hazard refused terms. He wanted like 80 grand a week. We weren't going to give him that. Mane has gone to Swansea, I think. Yeah, he's gone to Swansea. Who are paying him? We agreed 50 grand a week with him. They're paying him £130,000 a week. No wonder he's gone there. And Mamana, the defender, didn't get a work permit. So that's all worked out well. In more positive news, my director of football is at it again with the loans. Mikael Schuster is a Czech international wonder kid centre-back who's with us on loan for the season from Tottenham. And he's also working on a right-sided player, right wing, right back, Cedric Basquez from Monaco, who we've actually got, not only had, as my assistant manager, found him as a loan player, but we already had him scouted, actually. Kev's already on top of this one, and he's a player, if we didn't have Simon Hall, I would have tried to bring him permanently, because he's a very good player. But another wonder kid potentially coming in on loan for the season, which I think puts our wonder kid quota up to 4, with the new defender, the potential new winger, plus Hall and Mirabella. I think I'm close to done. I don't think we need very much else. It seems very odd that I'm not signing a whole load of players, but I don't know that this feels like one of those seasons where we're going to finish 17th and I'll get sacked by February because I didn't strengthen the team well enough. But I think we've reached that ceiling where we're not rich enough to go and spend £100 million on a player who makes us much better, and the players who are available for £10 to £20 million aren't as good as what we've already got. So I'm pretty happy with the squad already. Let's see if anything special turns up. Well, we missed out on the wonder kid right winger. He went to Inter on loan instead. However, Mr. Assistant... Why do I always call you an assistant manager? Mr. Director of Football has found me... He really thinks we need a right winger. I don't really understand. He's obsessed. We've already got Simon Hall. We brought in Lucas Moura, and then he brought in Pepe, who we didn't need. We got a shot of him, and now this is the second right winger he's tried to bring in this summer. He really wants us to have more right wingers, but I mean, this guy looks decent, so we'll take him. It's just odd. In other news, we've still got money to spend. We could probably do with a backup goalkeeper if we have a look at our team reports. I'm not desperate for one. The squad is looking very good. Strength in depth everywhere now, really, apart from goalkeeper. I would be, if Lopez got injured, I would be nervous about playing Ben Randall for any length of time. I know he's going to be a good goalkeeper eventually. I wouldn't mind having a three-star goalkeeper just knocking about the place. If we've got money to spare and not much to spend it on, that might be where my thoughts go. There's not really anyone obvious available, so I'm not saying that's definitely what's going to happen, but if we do spend the last of this money, at the moment I'm leaning towards that's where we're spending it on. In other news, the board are looking for a top half finish. The media are expecting 13th. Despite a 7th and a 6th place finish in the last 2 years, we're still considered lower mid-table. I don't know what we've got to do to convince the board that we're actually quite good, to convince the media that we're actually quite a good side. I guess it doesn't hurt to be underdogs. And I guess there's always the thing of first season in Europe is always a bit of a challenge. So we might actually struggle a bit this year. But I think we'll probably be all right. I hope. And we've now hit the end of the transfer window. Let's have a little summary of the last few pieces of business that have gone through. So we've let a few of our youngsters go out on loan. Warner Rhodes and Ashby Hammond have gone out on loan. Cody Drammer has gone to Barnsley as well. He was never going to get in my team. He never did. In fact, he never played a game for Fulham. There we go. So he's gone for £400,000. Where did we get to on the signings? I think had we signed Rodolfo Franco? If we hadn't, he's in now, so we now have another winger that we didn't really need. And we've also signed a backup goalkeeper. I mean, he's no better than the one we already had, but at least we've got a couple of backup goalkeepers now. I was impressed because he was previously at Napoli, so he must have been fancy. But looking at that, probably not so much. But that's all the business we did. So we spent £47.5 million. Where did that even go? Mirabella. Of course, it went on Mirabella, Horta. So they were players who were already here. Pineda's come back on loan as well. We did have a last-minute lurch to try and sign Bakayoko on loan. He became available for loan again, but in the end he decided to go on loan to Lazio for the season, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. He could have come here. We'd have liked to have had him back here. Garces is hopefully going out on loan to Lorient as well. We did appeal his work permit again. 1 cap apparently is not enough, but if he goes out and plays at Lorient's France, isn't it? Is it France? I think it's France. If he goes out and plays in France, League 2 in France, goodness me. But if he goes out and scores lots of goals in France, hopefully he'll continue to play for Colombia. It's going to be his international appearances that get him his work permit, not what he's doing at club level. So fingers crossed, he'll score goals for them, keep himself fit, keep himself in form, keep improving, get a few more caps, and we'll try again in the January transfer window, see if we can add him as part of the squad. But this is what the squad looks like in the end, and I think it's a pretty strong squad going into the new season. So we've got Mitrovic, Mora, Thorne, Power, and maybe eventually Garces as our strikers. Mirabella, Mora, Ruiz, Horta as options on the left wing. Hall, Mora, Franco as options on the right wing. We've got Horta, Sibala, Pineda, Williams, Purby is still knocking around in the squad, all as options for central midfield. Toussaint, Williams, Calderon can all play as our defensive midfielder. We've got Wendell and Sessignon. Well, we've got Wendell and Bell as options. Bell was still officially in the under-23 squad, I think, but he's obviously going to be our backup left back. We've got Sessignon, and Schuster can play there, as can Mawson, but Sessignon, I mean, that's probably the one thing we perhaps could have done. We weren't able to find a real good quality right back, but we've got a couple of players who can play if they need to. Sessignon just needs to have another good season. And at centre back, we've got Mawson, Duffy, Schuster, Carter Vickers. Rhodes has gone out on loan. We might end up bringing him back at Christmas if he's playing particularly well. He's very close to being part of the first team squad, but we might as well give him game time. And then in goal, we've got Lopez with Randall and Malone as the backups. To me, that seems like a half-decent team, and hopefully we can start the season off on Monday with a couple of wins. Away against Brentford, that should be winnable. Home against Liverpool, more of a challenge. But we'll obviously get all that sorted on Monday. Hopefully you have enjoyed this season review / transfer window special thing. If you have, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.